Talking About My Generation, the podcast with Lee Scriven and Dell Bromham.
Hello and welcome to Talking About My Generation with Dell Bromham, the legend. Is Dell Bromham. And then another legend in the room today. I don't know if it's Sir Chris Kemp yet. It might be in the post for his services to music and the arts. But I think it's just Chris Kemp. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Lee.
We're going to bang through this one, so you'll be glad to know you can, just a cup of tea will do you for this one. You don't have to get in the armchair and get comfortable and get ready for an hour. And Dale, quickly, what have you been up to last week? I know you were busy last week. Yeah?
Oh, usual,
New live album
we got. I was doing shows last weekend, and then in between time, Simon Ronaldo and his son Lucas in their studio going through the tapes, all the artwork for another live album that's coming out in the next few weeks, hopefully. So
excellent.
It's good. What's the title was going to be? Hang on.
Live by any chance?
No. It's you got
to have a proper name.
It's got a proper name, and I'll come back.
To it at the end of the show
when I've thought of it.
Send in your suggestions of what Stray's new live album should be. Just for the unknown who don't know Sir Chris Kemp, as I call him, Chris Kemp is probably one of the most influential and most successful promoters, not only in Milton Keynes but in the UK. And the jewel in his crown that he proudly wears was the formation of the Pitz live music venue here in Buckinghamshire, Milton Keynes, which was amazing. It was previously a sports hall with a smell of plimp soles and other things that we won't go into. And Chris here turned it into one of the most important venues in the country, really, that had fans coming over from all Europe. So that's why he's here. But we know, as per usual, if you listen regularly, that's not what you want to know. What you want to know was, Chris, what was the first record you bought?
Oh, blimey.
Here they come.
Scots Guard's Amazing Grace.
Really?
Yeah.
Not that number one? Yeah. It was you.
It was me.
It was you that kept Mark Bono.
Which version? Which version was it?
Oh, I think it was the extended version. Sounded like it anyway. But the first album was, there was two together. I can't remember which was first. There was All the Young Dudes, Mott the Hoople.
Oh, yeah.
And the other album was Uriah Heep's Magician's Birthday.
Okay. You redeemed yourself there. Yeah. You got out of trouble. No. Amazing Grace. Great song. First gig, you see. Not the most best one, not the most influential one. What was the first time you went, what's this? This is a live band you saw.
I think it was probably Gong.
Gone, blimey.
Yeah, supporting Faust, followed by, again, Uriah Heep's Magician's Birthday Tour. Yeah.
Blimey. Okay. Now, you were inspired to be a dancer first, is that right? You got into dance. And the reason I'm saying that, was there an inspirational moment for you? Because we normally ask a musician this and say, what musician inspired you? Dale's was Terry Reid, mine was Wilco, Dr. Feelgood. Was there an inspirational moment within the arts that sort of made you want to become and get involved in the arts?
Yeah, there was. I think it was when I was at college. I went to a PE college because I wanted to play sport and play rugby, but I was never quite good enough at the end when we came out. We played at the top levels, played all universities. And then one day, I kind of got drawn in a bit to a dance class because we'd missed one of the lectures for another class, and it was the first one, and they were all full. So all of our rugby lads had to go to this dance class. And we had a woman from the Royal Ballet came in to teach us ballet. Well, we were astounded at first and thought, what we're going into now.
Yeah.
And then she started doing some stuff, and we started following her, and then we started training using the stuff she was giving us, and it really made us better players. And we saw a lot of dance, we did a lot of stuff around that, and that's what led me into the love of dance, where I kind of dance twice a week with my wife and in our classes, go to events, and I was in Tame an artistic director, and I used to dance in a dance company, a contemporary dance company. But we don't talk about that.
That must be. I mean, for me and Dell looking on with it, I mean, we can just about do the twist, I think, between
Well,
us.
my patron saint was Saint Vitus, so I do know something about dancing.
But it must be really, as an artiste, which you were, it must be really exhilarating, performing a dance and pulling off a full dance.
Well, it was more exhilarating for me than I was good at it, because I wasn't particularly good. But I had sporting prowess, so I could kind of show a bit of that. But it was only minor things that I did in the company because I just wasn't that good.
Okay.
But I loved it because we
But
went
you
to a
loved
tour.
it, and you still do, as you say, dancing next week. So if you see,
ballroom and Latin.
It's interesting because I was at home on Saturday, and my other half likes watching Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah.
And the best, arguably the best person on there was the footballer, the lady, the female footballer. I can't remember her name now.
Right, yeah.
And they were saying about it must be something to do with sport and dance, which are linked. So what you just said, kind of. Yeah, I remember hearing that at the weekend.
Okay, best gig you've ever seen?
Best gig I've ever seen was probably, well, there's three.
Go on then. Yeah, that's fine.
The best gig at the Pitz I ever put on was PJ Harvey.
Yeah,
because he was in for 19 minutes and then came out. I thought I was going to get lynched, and everybody was like this. Stood with their mouths open like, wow, what was that? They just hit the stage. And then I probably think Queen and Freddie Mercury down at Nebworth.
Yeah.
And finally, I would say it's a difficult one, but I think them Crooked Vultures at Roskilde Festival when I was working there.
Yeah.
Seeing John Paul Jones play with Dave Grohl and Josh Homme was like, wow, what a gig. And they've got one album, and hopefully they'll bring another one out. But wow, was that
good,
some
yeah.
gig. Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't it funny, Lee, how over the weeks we've been doing this,
One
Queen
keeps
and the
popping up.
Beatles come up.
Yeah, keep popping up. Well, he might come in up again. One rock star that sadly left the building, passed away, that you could bring back. Me and Dell both went for Steve Marriott because we felt when he passed away, he didn't know, he wasn't aware. I don't think he might know. He wasn't aware of how much love there was for him and how much he was respected. So we chose him. So if there was one rock star you could bring back, who would it be?
It's got to be Freddie.
Yeah,
I think. I mean,
he's winning by a country mile, isn't he?
I love Adam Lambert. He's brilliant. He's not Freddie. He's different, and that's great. Because when I went to see Queen with Adam Lambert, I thought this is fantastic. He's not the same, but I love it. But Freddie was that consummate star. I mean, when he was on that stage at Nebworth, he was tiny, yet he was filling the whole place.
Can I butt in there? So at that stage at Nebworth, we're not talking 40-foot, 50-foot screens here, are we? No. So you got to be able to know to perform to the stadium. I think that gets taken away from the Who's and the Zeppelins and the Black. So in the early 70s, where
you didn't have the screens.
They had to do something in front of. Yeah, well, I was there at Charlton when there was 70,000 people. There wasn't a screen, no screens.
Yeah,
not at all. So it was a different kind of performance. I'm not saying the performances now. You saw Maiden recently, and you said it was just like a West End theatre show. Absolutely brilliant. But it's like a different kind of performance, isn't it? It's weird that you say that. I just wanted to come in on that one.
Well, with PJ Harvey, she played on a black background, white lights. That was it. And they all wore black. And you think, and it was just a brilliant show because you were listening to the music. You weren't watching anything else other than the band. You weren't listening to anything. I just wish he'd gone on a bit longer. Okay,
sticking with this theme, one musical event or gig, concert, we spoke about it last week, the recording of Hey Jude back in 68, a moment in time, like a live gig or a musical event like Ready Steady Go, you could go back in time and see.
Blimey. I think it would be Paul, who were a grunge band at the Roadmenders when I'd left Wolfton, decided to put some stuff on in Northampton, and I'd booked the big hall from David Walker Collins, and we'd sold 50 tickets. So he said, I'll tell you what, he said, why don't you put it in the bar alongside it, chose 300. He said, it'll be great. 500 people turned up. Right? There was more people on the stage than there was on the floor. They were diving off and everything. They were along the bar, standing up. And when the band came off, the lead singer said to me, he said, "That was the best gig we've ever had." He said it was just that thing where everybody's with you, everybody's there, and you're all just one. And I thought, yeah.
Great. Okay. Right, here's a little section that we normally do, Chris, and we get on to chewing the fat with you. Around this week in time, because by the time you get to listen to it, it might not be this week. 1st of October 1966, Jimi Hendrix jammed with Cream. Now, I used to think that was an urban myth, but apparently it was the truth.
Yeah, it was true, yeah.
What would have you done, Del, if someone had come up to you?
Well, the thing
if I jam with you, mate. I mean, if he'd have done it to Townsend, I think
it was unknown. Bear in mind, at that point, nobody really knew who it was. I mean, Chaz Chandler was just getting him into Speakeasy, Bag and Ales, all these places. And I think, by what I heard in the business, that sort of Clapton said, "Yeah, okay, then I don't know if he bought a guitar with him or whatever, and just you plug into my amp," and Clapton just went, "Whoa," because up until that point, I couldn't remember being a teenager in London, standing on the Central Line and seeing "Clapton is God" written on the walls, and it was everywhere. So he was the one. Yeah, and all of a sudden, he realises, who's this?
Yeah.
But
I'm just so glad it's true, because I must admit I've known it for years and years, and the only reason not this week and not like it was going, actually this is true, this actually happened. And that's right. I remember Ginger Baker, he just thought, well, go on in, what you idiot, basically. They just thought he was going to be a laugh.
Ginger Baker particularly, because he was quite a snob. You
don't ask Cream to jam. What are you like? But I think being American helped, and the way he looked and the way he was such an engaging character, wasn't he? Such a lovable. They went, yeah, go on in. Oh God, here we go. Better put up with it for 3 minutes, and then, like you say, apparently I mean, I don't know if this is true, but apparently Clapton was nearly in tears after it, just knowing that, oh, okay, I'm not the daddy anymore. Yeah. And then I think the next gig, the front row of Hendrix, I think it might have been the marquee, was Jeff Beck, Pete Townsend and Eric Clapton, all just sitting there because he'd rung them and gone, Jesus.
But prior to that as well, Paul McCartnney always says about they used to go down the Speakeasy.
Yeah.
I used to know the guy who used to run the Speakeasy, and he got up and they had jammed. They always used to have a band playing in there, and he just got up and jammed and went, whoa. Yeah. And then the next thing was Chaz Chandler got him a gig at the Savile Row Theatre.
Yeah.
And he knew the Beatles were going to be in the audience, so he played Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah, apparently he bought it in the morning, took it in with a record player, an old dance set, to Mitch Mitchell and Reading, and said, we're opening with this.
Yeah, that's right.
They knew the whole world was coming, as in their world. Yeah. We're talking London, was such a small world there. I think, what are you talking about? We're on in a minute. We're on soon. No, just listen to it. All right, you got it. Yeah, great. And then they went on and did it, and it's great, isn't it? I mean, I've heard it. It's fantastic. And Barry McCartney's going, whoa, okay, love this. But there you go. What a great memory. That might be something someone might choose one day to go back and see. That's not a bad shout, actually. If I had my time machine and I had unlimited use, I'd go, right, I want to go and see.
You asked me that weeks ago, and that might have been one of them. But
I think it was. 1945, 3rd of October 1905, Elvis Presley made his first appearance at a talent contest in Mississippi. Where did it all go wrong? I don't know where he come. So I was really annoyed in my run. I wanted to know if he came like fifth. Well, okay, but good old Elvis. We'll talk about Elvis at some point because we have to. Last one out of these. Tubular Bells went to number 1. 10 million records. 10 million.
So Richard Branson built his business.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't have been flying around in balloons, would he? Nothing. What a remarkable album. We're all around. I bought that. I bought it. Like everybody, I'm not going to hide and go, no, it wasn't me, I was a punk rocker, but I was really, that weren't Mike Oldfield.
Sammy Jones.
Oh,
journalist just walked past.
Legend, Sammy Jones. What did you think of it when you first heard it, Del?
Mate, I'm going to upset loads of people.
No, go on.
Didn't do anything for me at all.
Side 2, no. Side 1.
Didn't do anything for me at all. I had been, in inverted commas, as a musician, I had been in so many little scenarios where people jammed boringly for 3/4 of an hour. And I put Tubular Bells and I thought, ding a ding a ding a ding a ding a ding a ding. I thought, oh my God, what? And then I couldn't believe the success of it. And obviously I was wrong.
It was, but I suppose it was a time when people just, I suppose it was background music, really, wasn't it? I don't know. People just
lift music.
Reading. I don't know. It's just bizarre. Chris, you love it. You might like it.
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I mean,
there you go. That's what I mean.
I was living in Gateshead at the time, and that was the Virgin record shop in Newcastle near the City Hall. And you go in there and you could get an album for 33p, Faust, Gong, all of these albums, Camembert Electric, 33p. And that's where I bought Tubular Bells from. And you get it home, you put it on. I even coloured the other ones in because most of them didn't have any colour in the middle. They were just black on white with a Virgin kind of picture. And I put it on and I listened to it and I thought, this is just amazing, because it's the kind of stuff I like, listening to the individual instruments, and then this bit at the end. Then I bought Hergest Ridge and nearly threw it in the bin.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest.
But after that, the follow-ups are really, really good. Yeah. And then I had those hits. And I mean, it just goes on and on. To the Stables a few years ago when those two Australians came and played Tubular Bells live with all the instruments themselves. And I thought,
I think it's out on tour at the moment, actually. It is a remarkable album, isn't it? It is one of those. It's like, where did that come
genius.
from? And what I love about albums like that is all the record companies that would have turned it down.
Yeah.
Which I love. Yeah, would have. No, leave it out, mate. What are you doing? Like, go away. And then like, did you really turn that down? It's great, and you can understand why they would have. Like we've just said.
The other thing, Richard Branson, people forget he was going around in his little Ford Escort van selling it.
He was.
Yeah. Yeah, he really helped
himself.
Yeah, and of course he inherited the most rock stars of all time, didn't he? He didn't want to know about it. I mean, he had to buy him a Rolls Royce, didn't he, to drive him, though he could actually. That would take him to the Royal Albert Hall where he was doing it for the first time, because he just didn't want to do it. Of course,
that's when you could make money out of records, because I was lucky enough to have dinner with Richard Branson at his manor in Oxford, and that was only about a year, 18 months after he had been travelling around London in a Ford Escort van selling records, and all of a sudden he's got the manor, and I went down there.
But Virgin Records' roster was to die for. I mean, you had bands like. But you had Edgar Froese, you had Tangerine Dream, you had all of these things on there, and you think now they're huge bands, yet then they were kind of cult and small.
He went for that kind of thing,
and he went and he built them, and then they'd go on and then they'd get records with other labels, and it was just a genius way of taking great talent. I mean, people like Robert Wyatt and people like, he brought all those people along, all those tiny people who did nothing and suddenly became stars for one record.
I mean, his public PR can rub people out the wrong way, but I've read his autobiography. The guy is just an absolute
genius.
He's a
clever guy.
Absolute genius. And a nice guy, from what I can get. I think he was, and the music industry can have some shady guys in, but there's a lot of good people in there, and I think he was one of the good ones as well. Yeah, okay. Just for the listener, where'd you grow up, Chris?
Me? Well, I was born in Yorkshire. When I was 2, I moved to Gateshead. No, I didn't. I moved to Durham. Spent time in Durham, became a Sunderland supporter when I was 4. And then I moved to Gateshead, then from Gateshead to Scarborough, then went to college in York, and then there was no jobs up north. So I came down to Oxford and then to Milton Keynes, and I've been in Milton Keynes for 38 years.
How difficult, because it's interesting. I mean, I moved to Milton Keynes, and I'm sorry for our international listeners. There's a lot of listeners from Milton Keynes who'll be interested in this point, and I think it's the same if you move to any new town or new city. I was lucky enough to sort of move up when I was 15, so I had 1 year left at school, which took the sort of brunt of trying to make friends or meet people. I was really grateful for that. But how difficult is it in Milton Keynes to come in artistically and make an impact? Was that a struggle?
Nah, it's not a struggle, because if you remember, the thing that was key to me was opening up and trying everything. So we would do anything. I mean, I'm a fairly gregarious person. I'm outgoing and I like doing things. Less so now than I used to be. But I immediately, in the music scene, made friends. I mean, the number of times we had to do things like run away from the police and stuff like that in those early years. And playing guitar, fake guitars on top of the Midland Bank then,
Yeah,
and then having to run down the scaffolding when the police came, all that kind of stuff. It was, it was easy to make friends. But
it's still like it was a village then, wasn't it? And it's still a village now. And I'm not so much a village now, but it was then. That if you met, I'd say 8 people in Milton Keynes, the right people, you got to know the Milton Keynes art scene pretty quickly. Would that be correct?
You did, but also being at the Woughton Centre, because it was sports and arts.
Yeah, I mean, you must mention Mike Payton here before you and Sean Hennessy, who did a good job, as in, especially Mike. I didn't know Sean. Sorry if it's Sean Hennessy's family listening. I think I met him once, but Mike Payton I knew and had a good relationship. He put bands on and started to make the hall that you used into the Pitz to be recognised.
He did
as a venue, but then
great guy as well.
You took it to another level. I want to come on to that about the Pitz and how the creation. Now you've really transformed that room, but take nothing away from why he laid the foundations and other people laid the foundations and you built on it.
Well, he funded it as well. For the first part, he gave us the money to do it from the Development Corporation. But also Sean Hennessy. I mean, we wouldn't have a theatre if he hadn't really made his mark there. And that theatre kind of consortium that we had with so many great people. And we used to put theatre on all over Milton Keynes and also in Aylesbury. Yeah. And it just expanded everything and it made us part of bigger things in Milton Keynes.
So the Pitz, and I'm right, I think I'm right in saying it, because I was with you when you were doing the stuff, and as a lot of people were, not just myself and that. It was really like an arts collective, really, where tell me if I'm wrong, Chris, because memory can play tricks on it. I believe the first sort of series of shows, you were taking the name of the Pitz and putting it on at different venues.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a bold concept.
It was, but it was what we initially had to do, and it worked because we had money. So we just pushed it out as far as we could. It was great because I went to Great Linford and played the barn. We went to Bletchley Compass Club.
You want to talk about that
upstairs
one?
at Eric's
that one. The moles. The inebriated moles. When I'm saying drunk, we mean they could hardly stand up, let alone play. But that was a night not to remember.
That's right. And do you remember that Taming the Outback?
Yeah, I remember that.
You brought them in, didn't you? Taming the Outback.
From Canvey way.
Yeah, and there was all sorts of people played in these ridiculously small bands, like Claire in that first performance.
Oh, Claire, yeah, great.
I mean, that guy, lead singer, with bits of metal smacking him with a hammer on stage. And I thought, this is just like Joy Division. You know, this is what was starting to happen.
But you couldn't sustain that, and in a way, I think it worked. And then, obviously, the home of the Pitz became. What's Leisure Centre, I should say, became the home of the Pitz. But the name, who came up with the name? Because I thought it was Trevor Johnson out of the T-Bone Boogie Band. Trevor Jevons, not Trevor Johnson. He's a journalist.
It was Pete Lockwood. I thought it was Mark from, because we all had different things. And then Pete said, "No, he said to me, you said it should be called the Bunker, but we wouldn't call it that because of the connotations."
Right, okay.
And he said, and I thought, it's the Pitz. And he said. And that's what's.
That's very Pete Lockwood, actually. Who we've had on the show.
Yeah.
If you got, let's get into Dell. Dell, you must have played the Pitz.
Yep.
How highly would you regard it as a venue?
It was a great venue.
Yeah.
It was a great venue. From a musician's point of view, a big stage.
Yeah.
And it was, funnily enough. We've talked about this before about the different levels of clubs when I was doing it in the 70s. By the time like the 80s and 90s came along, a lot of those venues, the larger venues, were smaller.
Right.
For whatever reason, the town halls that I used to play in weren't promoting anymore. Town halls always had a big stage, so it was always a small club. So you could go in there into Woughton and put on a big show. The lighting was good there. Had a good PA system in there supplied, which was a dream. And although I didn't know him well at the time, I know when Maiden did their unannounced show under a different name, they played
announced it to everyone.
They played there, and Yannick was his first. Yannick was his first show playing. What was going to be the tour. And it did come up in conversation, what's a good place up your way, Where else is there? Woughton.
It really grew, Chris, didn't it? You took your time, and You know, I mean, it was brilliant when you put the curtains around, because it was a brick wall and a hard floor. It was difficult in the Mike Payton era. Again, not having pop-up Mike Payton, it was difficult to play live in there and have a lot of clarity. You forever... What I liked about the Pitz, it just kept evolving. It kept getting better. I mean, the PA's got better, the lights got... We were speaking about this the other week. The lights got better, and then you put the curtains up, and it must have given you a lot of pride to see how it grew and how popular it became. I
think it did. Eventually, there's only one night I ever thought I've done this, and it was when we had Babes in Toyland on, and I think it was Sammy Jones's favourite gig there. And they came on stage, and they hit the stage, and it was rammed. And I just looked at everybody enjoying it. I thought, I did that. And that's the only time I ever thought it was anything to do with me, because
the promoter's right.
But the other thing is, and not wish to be patronising, from a musician's point of view, we knew the organisation that was running it was reliable and good.
Yeah, big difference, isn't it?
But also, the audiences were always good there.
They were good, yeah.
You know, audiences came along.
You're right.
Audiences came along to the Pitz because it was almost like a big family. And bearing in mind when I first came up from London to play up here, that was sort of great, you know, and it was noticeable. It was really noticeable that everyone was there for the music, and you know, and to be together. You know, it was different.
Promoting's hard. I know. I've promoted, and Dell's promoted himself. Was it made easier that it was a council-run building? I mean, when I'd run my venues, they were private, and if I had a bad month, I'd have probably been out of work. But was there still that kind of pressure that you had to keep performing, to keep doing it inside a council building? Because what you could have been faced with, which I probably wouldn't have been, is people working for the council or working in a leisure centre who didn't want to be working in a venue. Yeah. You must have come across that.
Yeah,
that must have been difficult.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because one of the biggest challenges that we had was that the staff didn't want a hard time. And I'll come to that in a minute, because there's one gig where they were furious about it. But what started to happen is that I had to make it work, so I had to pick bands that cost slightly more. And I had to distinguish between indie and rock, because indie bands, you could put some of the big indie bands on and we wouldn't sell out, but you could put most rock bands on, and we did. And what started to happen is when thrash metal came in, we were one of the only venues on the circuit that did thrash metal, and that sold out every time. And that's why I got offered the job at the end, and I didn't take it, with Rod McSween. And I think the key to this was, I always remember Fernley Rose, sadly died recently. We were in the staff room, and he said, right, who's got ideas for New Year's Eve? And they went round and everybody had an idea, and he said, how about you, Chris? I said, Blues Collective, New Year's Eve, Brothers Reunion gig. And he went, okay, let's see what people want. Anybody who wants the Brothers Reunion gig, put your hand up. So there's about 3 of us did. Anybody who wants this? And it all went round, loads of people put their hands up. And he goes, right, Brothers Reunion gig it is. And the staff hated me. He absolutely hated me for it. Because Fernley knew it would make money. And all the other things were easy life for the people in there. But that was not an easy life.
That wasn't an easy gig. No.
You know, it was fun. And the thing was, I mean, I always remember that, you know, when that guy from that Acid Rain, who is at the film, he said, the one reason we love coming to the Pitz was because if you said something really ridiculous to Chris Kemp, he'd let you do it. Yeah. And I thought, well, yeah, because it was fun. Even though some of them were dangerous, it was fun, and you just did it. Because
you were great at that. I'm going to point something out. The gig that Chris was talking about, it was actually, I was with the band and managing the band at the time, and we had how big was it? 50-foot gorilla off Channel 4's chat show. Right, I don't know how we did this kind of thing. We want that on it, because it was a real cult program. I can't remember the program, but it was a 50-foot gorilla. The Last Resort with Jonathan Ross used to do the late night show. He had, and I'm talking 50-60-foot blow up things. We got that on. So this is with Chris now. We're going to come on to quickly that he's now a safety officer for venues. But now Chris is going to go mad at me. Then we came up with the idea that we used to do the Blues Brothers. We weren't the Blues Brothers band by then. We'd changed, but we still had the sunglasses now, and we were very mod. And we thought it'd be a great idea to ride a scooter on the stage with a cigarette I might add. And what Chris pointed to me out afterwards, which I had no idea, is as we drove on to the stage and sort of leant it over a little bit, the petrol was coming out of the scooter, and there we were with a funny looking cigarette and a real cigarette puffing away only metres away, and he was on stage mopping it up, which I thought was part of the stage act because he saved us there. But that shows you how much room Chris gave me, and I remember the suite being there. You had some amazing nights, Chris.
Yeah.
Some amazing nights. That the Blur, perhaps for one of the wrong reasons, I wish I'd have been there, where he decided to hit someone over the audience with his bass guitar. But, you know, there was some amazing nights. And I remember talking to you around that time, and you saying you're getting people coming over from Europe.
Yeah, that's right. We had, when we put thrash metal on, went outside one night, and I think it was Messiah Marcolin, who was from this big thrash band, and everybody wanted to see him, and I went outside and you could hear different people talking in the queue. We reckon we must have had about 40 people from Europe, most of them from Scandinavia, and we used to get letters from people saying what a great gig they'd had and were coming back the next year when somebody else played that they'd like to see, and you're thinking, you think why? And the reason was our tickets were like a fifth what they were paying over there to go and see.
Oh, in there. Oh, yeah. Right, okay. So how did you market the venue? I mean, we've been talking about this, how marketing has just changed to another level, which I'd love to do. We'll do a show on at one point. What was your sort of basic marketing techniques? Or was it NME or magazines?
We had NME, Kerrang, Sammy, John, Brett, and then we used to go on the underpasses and put giant posters up.
We were talking about this with Pete Lockwood about postering.
Yeah, and everywhere we'd go to all the village halls around and put them on the boards outside until we got the call from the council. If we didn't get those posters down off the walls, they'd fine us £1,000 for every one we put up. So we had to go around and scrape them off, and they were done with wallpaper paste.
Did you do it? I had that call. I just said I didn't put them up.
We had to do it.
I don't know who's
we talked about this before, didn't it? I'm just interested, Chrissy. How would you do it now?
Yeah, that's what I was going to come on to.
It'd have to be social media. I mean, I can't think of any other way that's as effective as we had then. No. I mean, even when I went to the university and created courses, I was marketing them as rock bands, and we had leaflets and posters, and we were sending them out, and we were getting loads of people back because that was what they recognised. You know, and other universities started to.
Well, if you ever find out, let me know, because there's a lot of people want to know, because it's tough out there at the moment. We're in this sort of mid-era. I mean, 10 years ago, people were still using physical marketing. Yeah. And then I think people have now finally thrown the lot in, but the skill of social media marketing is a real skill, and the timing stuff. And the TikTok, and then it's actually not to do with the gig, it's to do with the venue. I mean, it is fascinating. I'm not knocking. I'm not going to be one of these old people who are going, "Oh, what's better than the old?" I mean, what the tools is massive, but learning how to use those tools, I think I'm still struggling with, and I've promoted like you for many years, and you have as well. One of the most important things with promoters, and people listening, if they want to be a promoter, you have to build relationships with bands and agents. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. I was really lucky because I was promoter and venue manager, so I had my say on what happened. You don't get people who do that anymore because they're all big promotions by companies and put into places on tours. But I was lucky because I had some fantastic people that I worked with there. I mean, John Jackson from I can't remember what it was called now, but he had this huge company, and we got most of our rock bands from there. Prestige Talent we used. Yeah, I remember them. We also used I can't remember what the guy was. I remember the guy, but I can't remember. We used a lot of rock agencies and indie agencies as well. And one of the guys who was on the film but couldn't make it that night was from one of those really major companies. And he used to bring some great artists in, like Kirsty MacColl, people like that, when they were at their height, you know. And people used to trust it. And when we were making the film, all of them said to us, you know, the thing was, we would have paid the venue to play at the Pitz, because it was the stepping stone for that middle set of bands to get from there to the big time. And when they were talking about it, I was quite impressed, because I'd never thought of it like that, and I probably would have taken, a less cost, but in the end, we had some great people. I mean, some of those people who came and never played again and never did a tour, like the Sea Hags, and also like Mother Love Bone, who were, I mean, these bands, they were the precursors and had people in them from some of the big, grunge bands. Yeah. And you get those, and they sold out, and every night they would sell out.
Talking of agents and that, Dell, you've worked with touring agents. You've had, the Verity and Bromham show was put together. Is the agent the right word, or something?
That was
tour booker.
Peter Barton up at Rock Artist Management.
Are these characters now? Are they dwindling? Because there was a while where people did literally put tours together and earn a living out of it, and made sure the bands got paid and made sure the venues were okay. But I'm wondering what the scene is now, where these really important characters within the rock music industry are sadly not being used.
But you're right. There aren't the characters there are anymore. It's something of a paradox, because there are people who want to do it, like Peter Barton, but it's not easy. And I think the reason I say about how would you do it now if you promoted, because I don't think a lot of people, perhaps of a certain generation, who are promoting, know how to get into the modern world.
No, I mean, the costs, Chris, from compared to when Ha and the Blues Collective were starting out, not perhaps when the collective finished, but you could just, if you wanted to be a promoter in the late 70s or 80s, it was basically booking a band at your local hall or at your local club or a pub, and then you might do a silly thing and guarantee them money, or you might put one. But they were quite happy for you to do it, and then you go out and do the poster, and you do all the newspaper and that.
Chris is saying exactly what my management company did in the 70s when we started. It was a melody maker. I mean, it was almost like the rock fans' Bible.
Yeah, it was.
The melody maker, go to the back page and see who's on. Well, when certain venues didn't actually advertise, then our managers used to put their own ad in.
Yeah.
So you were building up that, and I have to say, I mean, fortunately, some of the fans of my band were the ones that used to come and see us all those years ago. And they're not as young as they used to be. And the question that comes up time and time again when they go over to the merch store at the end of the day, I didn't know you were playing here. When are they playing next? And my merch person will say to them, well, if you go online and look at the website, look at that, and you get so often it's like, I haven't got a computer, I don't do that
they
sort
just
of thing.
Don't do it. Websites have become
how are you going to reach those
very
people?
cold.
Yeah.
But the point I was going to try and make is the cost of now staging a show. And it leads into, if we've got time, to just talk about where you've progressed to now, because safety-wise, as we've just had a little bit of a laugh about, and we spoke about this last week, that in the 70s and in the 80s, there wasn't a lot of safety issues around, and gigs could be a little bit tasty to go to, as in football. Yeah. The reason we were saying that is because we had a football manager in, and we were saying the similarities between football and rock and roll. And of course, I'm pleased, as in football, and you would be pleased and I'd be pleased that gigs are now far more safer, but obviously it pushes the prices up. And that would the Pitz now, if you were given the hall, what was the capacity, 500 people?
412 supposedly, but we did have 500.
Yeah, you had a few more. But anyway, okay, a 400 venue.
800.
Do you think you could make that pay with the costs now involved in staging a concert?
No, and there's a reason for that. The first reason is there are people like Live Nation and AEG who are the one-stop shop. Right. So they promote shows, they own artist tours, they own venues, they own the full whack, so you can go all the way around and cover it and do, a Live Nation show in a Live Nation venue, you can do an AEG show in an AEG venue. Now, the other thing about this is that, I work with these people all the time. I work with most of the arenas in the UK. I have done for the last 12, 13 years. And one of the big challenges we find is there is a balance between safety, security and service. Okay? The problem is profit is hidden somewhere under here, but that's the main driver. So you've always got safety and you've got profit. And when it comes to it, people would sooner take a chance with safety for profit than they would pay some of the costs it takes to make it as safe as you possibly could. Now we're trying to get people to design safety into venues, so the safety's there, so they can charge a cost for it if people use the venue. But the one big challenge you've got is that there's a lot of people bringing a lot of amazing shows out because everything is shrinking. Everything is shrinking. The pound in the pocket is shrinking. People's disposable income is shrinking.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not really about that. What it is if you've got somebody who is a superstar like Billie Eilish, we did one of her gigs the other week. Billie Eilish, she runs the whole thing, right? The whole production comes in, the whole system comes in, fits onto a floor, you get people in around that, the costs, are all linked to that. And it's really difficult for venues to make money. But they can make it by developing systems and structures that allow them to put a safe show on, and then it's the cost of the ticket as well on top of that. So the only place the money can go is on the ticket. Where else can you put it? You can't. So you look at some of these shows. I mean, there are two venues that have very, very tiny clubs, which seat 800 people, and they have major stars on, and you can pay up to £2,500 a ticket to go there. Yeah, and people pay it. I mean, the amount of money people pay at festivals as well. Working at festivals, it's still dangerous. I've worked with Roskilde Festival since 2020. Since 2000, sorry. In 2009, people died there. Every year, I go to Roskilde and we work with them, myself and a number of other people from across Europe, to make it as safe as we possibly can for each festival. Because it happened to them, they're now aware we need to do this. Right. Most places, it'll be all right. But we worked on the Champions League final last year, and one of the key things about that is they tried a different system where instead of making it physically safe, they made it psychologically and socially safe. So instead of kind of meeting the teams off there and marching them down the whole what they did is they just let them come, welcome them, police will high-five them. Then they get to within about 100 yards of the turnstiles and they ran, and the safety officer just said, stand back, it's okay, don't worry. So they all ran through, went inside, and the police guy said, why did you do that? He said, well, we've checked them 3 times, they've all got tickets, all I want to do is run in, so we'll let them.
Let them do it.
Yeah.
Bit of common sense.
Absolutely, because if you do that, you're giving them the service they want, and the safety's already guaranteed. So it's about that service. Service is key with everything we do.
That sounds fascinating. What's the best advice you could give to someone who, who may listen to this or knows and going, Chris, I want to go into promoting? What would be your advice on it?
My advice is, any little chance you get, you take. It doesn't matter if you think, oh God, I won't be doing that. Do it. If you get a chance to help load out, if you get a chance to help load in, be a crew member somewhere, whatever tiny little thing that it is, if you want to shadow somebody, somebody from school whose dad's in the business, ask if he can shadow them, because that's the way in, really. I mean, there's a lot of guys who came to the Pitz still work in the industry, doing all sorts of things. Some are musicians, some are working with production, some are working with the lighting, the sound elements, and other people are working on tours with people. Somebody that I worked with a long time ago from a venue was in a really lowly job, and she said, well, I'm going to go travel. She went travelling, and now she's one of the top artist managers that there is, because she kept introducing herself at these places all over the world.
If you want to work in an industry, go and work in the industry.
Sit back and think
you
it's
can't get the top job, but you can you can normally get
your way
in.
through it.
You agree on that, Del?
Yeah, I mean, we know of a local guy did exactly the same thing when I first started in the 70s. We used to come up prior to the Pitz, the Bletchley Youth Club in Derwent Drive, and the young lad who used to help out in there was Phil Banfield. 17 years old. He was the same age as us, and he was
one of the agents.
The next thing I knew he got a job in London working for John Sherry organisation, and he ended up managing Ian Gillan and Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
And
He
the
didn't
police,
do too
I
bad
think.
for a local Bletchley boy.
And the police, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's great advice.
I remember one other thing. Matt Clark, you know Matt Clark?
No, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm not quite on that.
he's manager of Deep Purple.
All right, okay.
And he lived in Milton Keynes. He was a student of mine, right? I was
Really?
I was his dissertation supervisor, and he wrote a dissertation, and it was on how the internet is going to destroy music
Wow.
product.
When was this written?
I can't remember. It was years
But
ago.
it was before.
Yeah, before
Yeah,
it all
yeah, okay.
started. And he went to each of the big five then and warned them. Nobody paid any attention. He now lives in the Cayman Islands, manages Deep Purple. He's had a job doing the merchandising rights and everything, people like Kylie and stuff like that. The guy has gone stratoscopic.
You ain't got his number, have you?
It's about the time. Actually, it's about the time Ian
I want to
Gillan.
get him on this. We have got the access to
That was
transatlantic.
about the time Ian Gillan moved up here, 83,
Yeah.
84. I think he was living in Astley Guys or somewhere.
That was the gig. Ian Gillan that night. When he came on stage and went, still got my slippers on, ran off stage again, comes back on with shoes on, and he went, Bernie Marsden, get up here, get that guitar, get on stage.
Really?
And Bernie came on stage and played the whole gig. And you just think, that would never happen in a normal gig.
I think, all right, we're talking urban myths right at the beginning of the show. We're going to wrap it up. I must mention your film briefly as well, but I want to just get this by. You have to take chances as a promoter, and I'm pretty sure that you took a chance on a Scottish duo and booked them for 50 quid, and by the time they arrived, they were number one, the Proclaimers.
No,
Was it not you?
it wasn't me.
Why was
No.
you? Who was that then? 'Cause I know someone did it. They booked them way in advance because they liked their cassette, and by the time they got them, it was there. I thought that was you.
No,
Sorry.
there was two people we booked. One of them was who wrote White Ladder?
Oh, David.
David Gray.
There you go.
So we booked David Gray, 50 quid. Right, absolutely brilliant. This is great. And he pulled out about a week before the gig. But then we booked Eddie Reader from
Oh,
Fate
right,
and
yeah,
Attraction.
back in the day.
And she had a number one album in the charts. She played at Shenley, and 50 people turned up because didn't think it was true.
It was interesting if it was a tribute act.
Yeah, that's right, and it was her. So
Let's quickly mention the film. We've been talking about the Pitz, so you know all about the Pitz. We don't need to talk about it. But you decided to make an off-air to cut a lot of time out, as in, you told me it was just a personal film. You just wanted to put it down on film, you know, people's experiences, people's memories, people's thoughts on the venue. And was you pleased with it, how it came out?
I was really pleased. I mean, Roger was brilliant.
Roger Kitchen, yeah.
Yeah, Roger
Great
Candy.
guy.
He had like a noose around my neck, and he'd pull me back a bit every time I went off in a different direction. And it was fantastic working with him because he just allowed it to run. And when we finished it, it was something like 2.5 hours long, or it was 3 hours of film. And he cut it down to, I think it was 1 hour 15. And
Perfect.
I could have said, I want this bit in, I want that bit in. I thought, nah, I like it as it is, because it was great.
Yeah.
So I didn't bother about if any stories were missing or anything. It didn't matter, because it was a film for those people that were there at that time. And the people who turned up, they were all people, some of them I knew, some of them I didn't, who got something out of that pit. And to me, that was why we did it. We've never shown it since. I'm not sure I ever will show it again. I know Paul wants to show it at the Crawford, and that might be another show we'd do. But really, it's something that's so private to us that we're there that it doesn't mean
But there were
much to anybody
thousands
else.
of people who enjoyed what you did, Chris. I mean, I get it that you don't want to put it on the internet and it's just there, but I do think you should, give people advance and let them see it, because they were part of it as well.
Yes,
I get what you're saying. It's
important.
your
It's
story, but I
important
think
piece.
historically it's important for the young bands or new artists, or of anyone really, to go and find out the story of a remarkable venue, which, let's face it, it's not going to be repeated, Chris. Well, you can't see it.
Who do you think you are, Jiminy Cricket? Somebody showed me conscience.
Hey, no, but I'm true. I mean, I've been like it, and we spoke about it off air, but I've made a film about Freddie Bratti. I did not put it on the internet, much to emails most weeks. I was saying, will you please put it on the internet? No, I won't, because one, I promised David Bowie I wouldn't, but I didn't want to. I get what you're saying, but I do think you need perhaps once a year to make it accessible to the general public who may want to come and see it without forcing it on them, kind of thing. I don't think you should hide it away. It's too important. It's historically important.
It is an important piece of music history of this area.
And I'm glad you did it with Roger, who works for the Living Archive, because there it is. You know, I've given my films there and stuff and that. So important. But don't hide it away. It's a too good a story. And I'll finish with this. You should write a book. You should write a book about what you did at the Pitz. Because again, it educates people, and I think they're fine. I think you've got some funny stories that you could put in here that you perhaps didn't put in today. I think you should write a book, and I'm telling Kaz tricks to write. But I'm telling people to write books because you should. Dell's written a brilliant book. We forgot to give it a plug. I got it in there, Dell. You got it in.
Well, I can recommend a publisher.
We've got a couple of minutes. You found it a good experience writing a book, Dell, didn't you?
Yeah.
I've written 12 books, but they're all about the music industry.
not
And
about
safety.
you. No, you. Yeah. Personal. I mean,
I did one on punk and hardcore, but the thing is, that'd be the 13th. I'm not sure I want to do a 13th book.
Well, just put a book of drawings out.
Yeah. No, actually, I might write some stuff down because
I think Sammy Jones is going to do one on the bowl as well. You know, I'm not just saying it to you to win brownie points or be Jimmy Lee Cricket on your shoulder. I just think some people have some great stories, and if we're not careful, them stories will get lost. I was so pleased that I managed to film David Walker Collins, who the architect of Milton Keynes, and it was only a year before he passed away. I mean, these things need to be documented and be told, not for glory, not for profit, but they do need to be told. And I think your story would be very interesting and inspiring to others, I think.
Well, I'll think about it then, Lee.
Well, that's it. Chris has got to go off and have his flu jab. So there's another podcast. What are you all? Dale, what are you up to at the weekend anyway?
The weekend. Well, I'm not actually gigging this weekend.
Wow.
But I've got a lot of hotels and.
Oh, of course, your tour's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of a.
Yeah, excited by the tour?
Yeah, it's going to be real busy. It's like first time we've done like night after night after night after night for about 3 or 4 weeks. The costings is important now because venues don't pay cash on the night anymore.
No. So
someone has to foot the bill out for the hotels and the fuel and everything else.
Well, there you go. If you're looking at sponsorship, there's a sponsor opportunity. Sponsor Don's tour, Dell's tour,
yes,
on the Christmas tour. Christmas tours. John Lewis, there's a good advert for you.
Nice one.
Anyway, lovely to talk to you,
So
Chris,
people.
and lovely to talk to
thanks
you
very much.
wherever you're listening. Thank you very much.